Only wrapping up in the sex trafficking and racketeering trial of rap mogul Sean Diddy Combs, the week ending with the defense cross-examining Combs' former assistant who testified about alleged violent encounters. Witnesses have testified that the atmosphere around Sean Combs was chaotic, drug-fueled, intense, sleepless, toxic, traumatizing, and of course violent. The defense is attempting to highlight more flattering descriptions. Combs has pleaded not guilty to all charges, and his defense team says any sexual encounters were consensual. There is a lot there, so let's bring in former federal prosecutor Neama Rahmani to go through all of this. Neama, I know you're following this during the week. You and I are also following the Karen Reed trial. Today, let's talk about Diddy. Prosecutors are trying to prove the sex trafficking and racketeering charges against him. Do you think the testimony that we've heard so far prove that Diddy used his employees from his business and organization to carry out criminal activities as the prosecution alleges?
Phil, I do, and maybe it's the former federal prosecutor in me, but it's important to note that you can get to racketeering in many different ways. Obviously, the clearest path is sex trafficking. But even if jurors believe that the freak-offs were consensual or that Combs didn't sexually assault Mia, the fourth assistant who's been testifying the past couple of days, you can get to sex trafficking through arson, right? That's why we're hearing that testimony of how Kid Cudi's Porsche was hit with a Molotov cocktail, kidnapping. There was testimony by Capricorn Clark this week, another witness, that she was taken by gunpoint to a club. You can get there through prostitution. There's been a lot of testimony about that. Extortion. We heard Regina Ventura, Cassie's mom, talk about how she was extorted out of $20,000. Obstruction, witness tampering. There are many racketeering predicate acts, and I think the government has proven them.
I want to ask you, Neama, about his defense team. His defense team has said that Combs and Cassie Ventura may have been in a mutually abusive relationship, but that he's not guilty of the crimes he's been charged with in this case. What do you make of that strategy? I mean, the first thing they did is stand up and say, hey, he's not the greatest guy. You may not like him, so they're leading with that. I understand you try to get ahead of things, but what about that?
Phil, they're trying to walk a fine line, and the reason they're doing this is they can't get around the 2016 video from the Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles where Combs is beating and kicking Cassie. So they have to admit the violence, the physical violence. They're trying to walk a line, which is very difficult to do, to say the physical violence occurred, but the sex trafficking, the sexual violence did not. And, you know, for the first 2.5 weeks of the trial, they were really taking this sort of softer, velvet glove approach with some of the victims. But yesterday, Brian Steele, one of the most experienced lawyers on the defense team, he cross-examined Mia, who was the fourth assistant to testify and actually victim number 4 in the indictment. And it was a very aggressive cross-examination. And you can contrast that to the cross-examination earlier. They were only cross-examining the female victims with female lawyers. So we did see a clear shift in the defense strategy yesterday.
All right, Neama Rahmani, thanks for following this so closely and breaking it down for us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Phil.